say is the answer, is the solution for the homosexual in 2022, here in the New Testament, here in the book of Romans, that they are worthy of death. These people should be put to death. Every single homosexual in our country should be charged with the crime, the abomination of homosexuality that they have. They should be convicted in a lawful trial. They should be sentenced with death. They should be lined up against the wall and shot in the back of the head. That's what God teaches. That's what the Bible says. You don't like it, you don't like God's word, because that is what God says.
He's hiring hit people with that little shit.
Let's get in a little state-sanctioned pedophilia. State-sanctioned pedophilia.
Nothing but positive. I mean, I feel like everything is pretty supportive here, and that most kids are supportive.
That's not trans. You are born with a mental illness that makes you believe that you are not the right gender.
Schools are supposed to be a safe haven of learning and nurturing for the future generations of this world. Jackson prides itself for its own inclusion. Some classes go as far as to hang up this little sign: safe space for members of the LGBTQ+ community. Although acceptances or the general existence of the queer community is never mentioned in lessons, the sign does enough, right? There are many claims of support within the school, but that is rarely the case.
We should keep it out of that media, because I don't want my children getting brainwashed with these thoughts that they have the ability to change their gender.
So this person was talking about how they don't think gay people are right to exist.
The National Institute of Health finds that 1 in 5 hate crimes will be directed towards the LGBTQ+ community. An FBI report states that there was a reported 13.8% increase in hate crimes directed towards the community.
One of my friends was wearing a Protect Trans Kids pin on one of their bags, and kids from our side started yelling slurs at us and threw a water bottle at one of my friends.
The Human Rights Campaign declared a state of emergency for LGBTQ+ members, as there have been more than 2,000 hate incidents in 2023. More than 550 anti-LGBTQ+ bills have been introduced in 43 states, and more than 80 signed into law. That is more than double last year.
Because, can't be myself except, online. So...
In 2023, more than 100 people in the US were killed due to their sexual orientation. This is unfortunately the sad reality of today's world. When the LGBTQ+ community not only expects but finds microaggressions to be the norm, jokes turn into hate and it progressively gets worse. It only takes a few more jokes to lead to the ultimate consequence: suicide.
I would hope that with some good counseling and intervention, it wouldn't have to be long-term mental health, but short-term, you've got to look right away at fear and anxiety, then looking differently at the members of the group that are bullying or not accepting, then feeling less trusting of other human beings. And long-term, this can really impact your self-esteem and even a sense of who you are. It can cause someone to go back into the closet.
The CDC finds the normalization of homophobia leads more than 500,000 LGBTQ+ individuals to attempt suicide yearly. Due to hate, more than 450,000 LGBTQ+ youth commit suicide in the US alone. That's 1 every minute. By the end of this documentary, 15 LGBTQ+ youth will die. Many people have different experiences regarding the community. They range from people who don't understand to members of the community who struggle with coming out. The Trevor Project reported in an article that members of the community are 400% more likely to commit suicide. 1.8 million LGBTQ+ youth seriously consider committing suicide each year. Even counselling professionals like Dr. Gail Wisen from 4Kid Help in Canton, Ohio, have seen an increase in homophobia. Dr. Wisen specialises in help for young people and deals with many cases of patients having experienced homophobia. Homophobia is not exclusive to Ohio. Ohio is a bubble in the world of hate against the LGBTQ+ community. We interviewed Tay and her girlfriend from the Philippines, giving insight on the treatment of the community there.
A really religious country. Our main religion here, like most of the population, is Roman Catholic. If not Roman Catholic, then some form of Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the second biggest is Islam. Yes. So like, with how people are, they're really religious. And I guess it's like for older people, they are not that open to the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
But like people around my age, I'm like in my 20s, we're cool. I guess it's kind of complicated because like there are lots of old people too who are fine with the gays,
Yeah.
But instead of like just a religion thing, I guess it's more of a social class and economic class thing as well.
Yeah.
Like people tend to be more traditional.
Like the US, LGBTQ+ prejudice exists within the Philippines. The Times reports 85% of the Filipino population profess the Catholic faith.
The thing in the Philippines, rather than like being openly hated, it's more like we're just tolerated.
Yeah.
Tay explains how it's mainly the older generations who have disdain towards the community. These generations are very religious and have traditional upbringings. In the Philippines, it is perfectly legal to be denied entry to a public or private establishment due to sexual orientation or gender identity. There are no laws banning discrimination or hate crimes in the Philippines. There are also laws in the Philippines that restrict LGBTQ+ people. Now, we interviewed another person who is from Brazil, who identifies as a transgender female. Her name is Marina, and she lives in the province of Sao Paulo.
Early when I found out I was trans, when I realized that on those early years, I had very much a lot of chest dysphoria.
Yeah.
And some other types of dysphoria.
Yeah, you don't have to get into detail.
Yeah.
It's whatever you're comfortable with.
But I guess it was never too bad for me. Though for a little while it was not very fun. I mean, I still kind of suffer of dysphoria at times, but it's better after everything.
Marina explains how she struggles with gender dysphoria and how coming out to her parents was very difficult. Brazil has a very interesting perspective of trans people. There are areas that are widely supportive, but many areas with mass violence towards transgender individuals. We sent out a questionnaire to various resources across the globe. Anyone could take it, either anonymously or not. They could share their opinions and perspectives of the community. The responses we got range from closeted individuals terrified for their safety to highly homophobic people. One of the more concerning answers we got was from Adjuster One. He is from the UAE and made some bold statements about the community. He said it, in quote, "They shouldn't exist and must be either beheaded or deported, as they don't want this to affect children in schools is what is perceived in the country." End quote. An interesting answer we got as well was from Bongo Finn from Singapore. He details his experience as a trans feminine person in Singapore, as well as bisexual. He says that he has always struggled with gender dysphoria and often struggled with mental health tied to his sexual orientation and gender identity. Coming back to the United States, states like Oklahoma are seeing an increase in hate crimes and bills against the community like never seen before. In fact, homophobia in Oklahoma manifested itself into a public service announcement released by the state, giving warnings about the community and calling parts of the community groomers and pedophiles. The PSA further states that teachers and teacher unions that support the community are supporting pedophiles.
We've been really clear here that we're going to only allow boys to go in the boys' bathroom and girls to go in the girls' bathroom. And there's dangerous consequences when common sense is vacated. And we see a district here in the state where a boy was allowed to go into the girls' restroom and assaulted 2 young girls there.
Oklahoma mother is suing her daughter's school district after she says a transgender student attacked the 15-year-old girl inside the bathroom. There is a law in Oklahoma that says that students have to use the bathroom that matches the gender they were assigned to at birth, and it looks like that didn't happen here.
The swirling questions from parents prompting the school superintendent to make a video breaking down the fight.
On October 26th, there was a fight at Edmond Memorial High School in the girls' bathroom that involved a transgender student.
Edmond Public Schools is claiming that there's no requirement for a birth certificate to enroll in high school.
Birth certificates are not required to start school.
Per the law, students have to use bathrooms that coincide with the sex written on their birth certificates.
The school's just lying, and they didn't comply.
There were some minor injuries.
The other student attacked her, started punching her, got her down to the ground.
What would technically be called minor injuries.
Left my daughter unconscious on the floor and ran out of the bathroom.
When the student enrolled as a female and presented themselves as a female, and so have been accepted as a female.
It's not okay. I mean, that was a brutal attack on my daughter because they didn't follow their guidelines.
And when you look at that child by all social norms, they look and present themselves as that gender. It's not something that you would question. And you may ask yourself, how can that happen?
You know, what we've seen is an assault on truth in our education system. And what we've seen is, instead of telling kids that there's 2 genders, it's biology, we have injected radical gender theory into telling kids that they might be other genders. It's dangerous. It puts our girls in jeopardy, and it endangers their safety. And, you know, it is common sense. And what we've got to do is we've got to return back to the common sense policies that we had, you know, just a decade ago in our schools, and to say, listen, we are absolutely going to affirm truth. What is reality?
In this documentary, we have talked about the statistics and the probabilities of hate and violence towards the LGBTQ+ community. But what makes it real?
16-year-old Nex Benedict dying at the hospital on February 8th, according to police, one day after they were involved in a fight at the Owasso High School West campus just outside of Tulsa.
Nex Benedict shook the nation, but the truth is this happens nearly every day. There may be lawmakers who claim this was a terrible tragedy and could have been avoided, but no laws are being prioritized to safeguard the minority with the highest suicide rate. So it begs the question, who's the next Nex? Whose child needs to die before safeguards are taken to protect LGBTQ+ students? Nex's death will not be in vain.
Nex Benedict, I want to say I'm sorry for the ways your peers and your school discarded and threw you away. Your life was valuable. Accountability is coming for those who harmed you. The violence and the legislation that threatens the well-being of trans and non-binary youth is fueled by media personalities and so-called thinkers like Barry Weiss, Chaya Rechnick,